The world has been ignoring India's rise for far too long, but that's about to change. The global powers, whether it's the United States, China, or Europe, have all underestimated one simple fact. India is no longer just the world's largest democracy. It's the economic and geopolitical powerhouse of the 21st century. And the truth is, they can no longer afford to ignore India. For decades, India was seen as a sleeping giant, its economy growing steadily, but never fast enough to compete with the major powers. The world saw India as a country of contradictions, poverty and progress, chaos and potential. They thought one day India will rise to the occasion, but not just yet. The truth is that day has already come, and India is rising faster and stronger than anyone ever expected. What we are witnessing is the transformation of a nation that has long been ignored, dismissed, and underappreciated. Today, India is shaping the future of global trade, technology, and geopolitics in ways no one could have predicted. For years, the global stage has been dominated by the United States, China, and Europe. These powers held the keys to global influence, dictating terms in trade, technology, and international relations. The world operated on their rules. India, despite its size and potential, was not considered a major player in the game of global power. That's changing right now. India's economy is the fastest growing major economy in the world. Its GDP is expected to overtake Japan as the third largest economy within the next decade. More importantly, India is showing the world that its rise is not just about numbers. It's about innovation. It's about technology. It's about strategic thinking. And above all, it's about speed. India's growth is happening faster than anyone could have imagined, and the world is starting to take notice. We see this in India's technological revolution. It's not just about IT outsourcing or coding jobs. It's about building next-gen solutions that will power the world's future. India has transformed from being a back-office hub to a global tech powerhouse. Look at UPI, India's digital payment system. Today, UPI processes more than 100 billion transactions a year. That's more than the entire European Union combined. India has leapfrogged the West in digital finance, a sector where the US and Europe have struggled to catch up. India's rise in fintech, artificial intelligence, digital health, and e-commerce is unprecedented. India is not waiting for the future. It is building it. This transformation isn't just about the economy or technology. It's about geopolitical power. India's global influence is growing at a pace that no one can ignore. India is not just a participant in global politics. It is becoming a leader, especially in the Indo-Pacific region. The Quad Alliance, which includes the United States, Japan, Australia, and India, is positioning India as a counterbalance to China in Asia, ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific. India is forming strategic trade partnerships across Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia, while China is struggling with the fallout from its Belt and Road Initiative. India's foreign policy is also shifting. No longer is it solely dependent on the West for support. India has embraced its own unique path, building relationships based on shared values, mutual respect, and collaboration, not coercion. India's growing influence within the United Nations, BRICS, and other global forums is clear. It is no longer just a participant. It is shaping the future of international relations. And what India is offering is a vision of global cooperation, democracy, and sustainability in stark contrast to the authoritarian models that have dominated in the past. India is showing the world that power doesn't come from size alone. It comes from the ability to innovate, adapt, and lead. For decades, the world looked at India and saw potential. But potential is not enough. India is no longer just showing potential. It is delivering results. It's becoming the world's hub of innovation, the leader in clean energy, the counterbalance to China in the East, and the fastest growing economy in the world. The world can no longer sit back and pretend that India is a nation of the future. It is the nation of now. India is changing the game, and the world must now pay attention. India's transformation is not just about ambition. It's about delivery. It's about how this country, long seen as a place of promise, is finally fulfilling that promise on a scale that is unparalleled. India is no longer waiting for the world to change. It is changing the world itself. The Indian economy has been growing at a pace that many experts did not think possible just a few decades ago. Today, India is the world's fifth largest economy and is set to overtake Japan in the coming years. But the true story of India's rise is not just about numbers, it's about transformation. India has moved from a reliance on low-cost labor and basic manufacturing to becoming a global leader in technology, innovation, and digital finance. One of the most remarkable aspects of India's rise is the digital economy. While countries around the world were trying to build digital systems and move into the age of cashless transactions, India has already leapfrogged the West in many areas. UPI's Unified Payments Interface, a system designed for simple, real-time payments, has become the backbone of India's digital financial ecosystem. In fact, UPI processes more transactions than any other system in the world, surpassing even China's highly publicized systems like Alipay and WeChat Pay. India has built a financial system that serves every single person in the country, from the richest to the poorest. This isn't just a convenience. This is an empowerment of the masses. And it is a model the world has never seen before. India's success with UPI, combined with Aadhaar, the world's largest biometric identity system, has opened up new avenues for financial inclusion, and small businesses are thriving. India's young, tech-savvy population is changing the way business is done. While Western nations still struggle with fragmented payment systems and issues of financial inclusion, India is already running on a unified, seamless, and cost-efficient platform that is putting power back into the hands of its people. But it doesn't stop there. India is becoming the global leader in innovation, with technology and AI at the heart of its future growth. The country's tech startups are rising rapidly and are now attracting investment from around the world. These are not just tech companies creating apps for the West. They are creating solutions to global problems. Indian entrepreneurs are developing artificial intelligence systems that help farmers predict crop yields, create more accurate diagnostic tools in healthcare, and help small businesses optimize their operations. These are solutions designed for the real world, not just for the tech elite. India has also embraced smart manufacturing and automation. Make in India is no longer just a slogan. It's a movement that is transforming India into a global hub for production. The country has moved beyond low-cost, labor-intensive manufacturing into high-tech, value-added industries that are attracting the biggest global companies to invest in India. Companies like Apple and Samsung are now building products in India. And as global trade tensions rise and companies seek alternatives to China's dominance, India is well positioned to fill that gap. Take renewable energy, for example. India is not just looking to the future. It is already shaping it. The country's solar energy capacity is already among the largest in the world, and it's growing at a pace that far surpasses most Western nations. India has set ambitious goals to lead the world in clean energy, and it is making significant progress in meeting those goals. India is using solar energy, wind power, and battery technology to shift away from fossil fuels, reducing its reliance on imports and creating sustainable green jobs. This is not just good for India's economy. It's good for the world. As the global demand for clean energy rises, India is becoming the supplier of the future. India's energy transition is also tied to the rise of its electric vehicle, EV industry, with companies like Tata Motors leading the charge. India's push toward electric vehicles is not just about fighting pollution. It's about creating a new industry that will shape the future of mobility. As global automakers like Tesla look to expand in Asia, India is emerging as a key player in the EV market, driving the world's transition to cleaner transportation. Let's not forget India's pharmaceutical industry, which has been one of the cornerstones of the global healthcare system for decades. During the COVID-19 pandemic, India proved once again that it is the world's pharmacy. India not only produced the largest supply of vaccines for the world, it also ensured that these vaccines reached the poorest countries at a time when other nations were hoarding supplies. India's capacity to produce affordable, life-saving medications has made it an indispensable player in the global healthcare ecosystem. But this industry is no longer just about generics. India is now moving into biotech innovation, with its companies focusing on genetic therapies, vaccines, and advanced treatments. India's biotech industry is set to lead the global healthcare revolution in the next decade. And India's rise in AI and space exploration is an area that most people don't yet fully grasp. India's space agency, ISRO, has been sending missions to the moon and Mars at a fraction of the cost of China or NASA. The world is now watching India as it moves into the next phase of space exploration, creating new technologies for satellite communications, data collection, and global positioning systems. As the global space race intensifies, India's space industry will be a critical player, not just for India, but for the world. India is also quickly becoming the go-to destination for global tech talent. The country produces more engineers and scientists than any other nation on the planet. India's growing tech education system is producing a workforce that is highly skilled, highly motivated, and ready to take on the challenges of the future. More and more Indian tech professionals are staying in India, where they are building the future of global tech and innovation. And the best part, India's entrepreneurial spirit is thriving. Indians are creating global businesses in areas like e-commerce, fintech, AI, and cloud computing, and doing it faster than anyone could have imagined. So, as we look at the current landscape, we need to ask ourselves, why is the world still underestimating India? Why are the major powers, the established economies, still dismissing India as a rising power? The truth is, India has already passed the point of no return. The world can no longer pretend that India is just a developing nation. It is a global powerhouse, and it's moving faster than anyone predicted. India's rise is not just an economic revolution. It is a geopolitical shift that will reshape the balance of power in the world. For too long, India was seen as a nation with great potential, but held back by bureaucracy, political instability, and infrastructural challenges. But now, India is stepping onto the global stage as a leader, not just an observer, and it is demanding attention from every corner of the globe. What we're witnessing today is a fundamental shift in global trade and geopolitical alignments. India is no longer just part of the conversation. It is driving the conversation, and the world is paying attention. One of the most striking aspects of India's rise is how it is challenging traditional power structures. For decades, global trade and diplomacy were dominated by two superpowers, the United States and China. The US led the world economically and militarily, while China's economic rise was primarily driven by manufacturing and infrastructure investment. But now, India is asserting itself in a way that the world has never seen before. It is building its own network of alliances, partnerships, and trade deals, and it's doing so with a clarity and purpose that many global leaders are struggling to match. India is quietly positioning itself as the center of the Indo-Pacific, which is the world's most dynamic and strategically important region. The Indo-Pacific has become the focal point of global trade, investment, and geopolitical competition. And India is not only playing a major role, it's leading the way. This region, which includes China, India, Japan, and Southeast Asia, is home to over half of the world's population. And India is becoming the region's strategic leader. Take a look at India's involvement in the Quad Alliance, which includes the United States, Japan, Australia, and India itself. This partnership, which is focused on ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific, has become one of the most important geopolitical developments in recent years. While the world has traditionally seen China as the dominant force in the region, India is now standing shoulder to shoulder with the United States and its allies to ensure that the Indo-Pacific remains free of any single dominant power. What makes India's rise particularly important is its ability to balance its relationships with both the West and the East. While it strengthens its partnerships with the United States, Japan, and Australia, it has also been making significant strides in working with China despite their rivalry. India's position in the Indo-Pacific means that it has the ability to act as a bridge between two of the world's largest economies, China and the United States. This position of neutrality and cooperation gives India a level of influence that neither China nor the United States can replicate. But India's influence doesn't end in the Indo-Pacific. It is growing across the globe. India's growing presence in Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia is making it a key player in global trade. India's ability to create mutually beneficial partnerships based on respect, collaboration, and shared growth is attracting nations from across the world. And the best part, India is doing this without the economic coercion or political control that China has often used in its Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. India is providing infrastructure, investment, and technology transfer without the strings attached that have often burdened developing nations in the past. India's approach to global trade is rooted in its democratic values. It is building relationships not based on dominance, but on mutual respect and shared prosperity. It's showing the world that global trade doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. India's emphasis on inclusive growth, sustainability, and technology transfer is rapidly making it a go-to partner for many nations looking for long-term stability and prosperity. One of the most crucial aspects of India's rise is its growing role in global trade agreements. India's participation in the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, a trade pact involving 15 countries in the Indo-Pacific, is a testament to its increasing influence. But India's influence doesn't stop there. It is also forging bilateral trade agreements with countries across the globe, including the United States, Japan, and European nations. India's trade policies are designed not just to benefit its own economy, but to ensure that the global trading system is fair, transparent, and inclusive. And let's talk about energy. While the world remains focused on fossil fuels and the traditional energy landscape, India is looking to the future. India has already become the world's third largest producer of renewable energy, and it is positioning itself to become a leader in solar, wind, and battery technologies. This is no small feat, considering that India's energy demands are growing rapidly. But India is determined to meet these demands with clean, sustainable solutions that will power the world of tomorrow. India's push for green energy is helping the country reduce its dependence on fossil fuels and cut emissions, while also creating new industries and jobs in the process. India's role in clean energy is also giving it more leverage in the global energy market. As the world transitions to renewable energy, India is poised to become one of the largest producers and exporters of clean energy technologies. And this gives India not just economic power, but geopolitical leverage. Nations that depend on traditional energy sources like oil and coal will be looking to India for the technologies and solutions that will enable them to make the transition to a cleaner future. India's space program is another area where the country is asserting itself on the global stage. The Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, has made impressive strides in recent years with successful missions to Mars, the Moon, and beyond. India's space ambitions are not just about national pride. They are about becoming a key player in the global space economy, which is set to become one of the most lucrative industries in the world. India's growing role in satellite communications, space exploration, and Earth observation is positioning it as a global space leader that will rival even the United States and China. India's military strength is also playing a key role in its geopolitical rise. While India is a defensive power, focused on protecting its borders and regional interests, it is also becoming a security partner for nations around the world. India's military capabilities, combined with its strategic alliances, are making it a key player in ensuring global stability in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. So, as we look to the future, India's role in shaping the global order is clearer than ever. It's not just an emerging economy. It's a global leader. India's growing influence in trade, technology, energy, and geopolitics is redefining the global balance of power. The world can no longer afford to ignore India. It is no longer just about the United States or China. It's about India's role as a builder of the future. India's rise is not about competition. It is about cooperation. India is showing the world that there is a new way forward, a way where countries don't have to fight for resources, power, or influence. India is leading the way by offering a vision of shared prosperity, sustainability, and inclusiveness. And the world is watching closely because India is not just changing the game, it is rewriting the rules. As we look ahead, the future is no longer about following in the footsteps of others. The future is about leading, about shaping, and about building a new world order. A world where India is not just a participant, but a defining force. India's rise is not a trend. It's not a moment. It's a movement. A movement that will transform the world in ways we've only just begun to understand. India's power doesn't come from dominance. It comes from collaboration. India is showing the world that true strength doesn't lie in control or competition. It lies in cooperation, in sustainability, and in empowering others. India's growing role in global affairs is not about creating divisions. It is about building bridges. It is about showing the world that the future doesn't have to be divided by East and West, North and South, rich and poor. The future can be unified, it can be shared, and it can be prosperous for all. India's geopolitical influence is not rooted in military might, it's rooted in opportunity. It is rooted in the ability to create partnerships, not just for trade or power, but for the future. India's vision for the world is not about self-interest. It is about shared growth, shared prosperity, and shared innovation. As India continues to rise, it will offer the world a new way forward, a way where democracy, human rights, sustainability, and cooperation are the cornerstones of global power. But India's rise is not only about economic growth or political power. It's about values. India is leading the world with a set of values that are as timeless as they are relevant today. India has always believed in non-violence, peace, and tolerance. And as the world faces increasing challenges, climate change, inequality, and geopolitical tensions, India's philosophical and ethical foundations will become the guiding light for the world. India is offering the world a future that is based not on military strength or political control, but on wisdom, the wisdom of a civilization that has stood for thousands of years and that has always understood the importance of balance and harmony. The future that India is building is not one of domination, but of inclusion. It is a future where technology, AI, and clean energy are used not just to empower India, but to empower the world. India's rise is about solving global problems, about using India's technological prowess to tackle challenges that affect everyone, from climate change and healthcare to poverty and education. India's commitment to sustainability will guide the world toward a future where we don't just grow economically, we grow responsibly, ensuring that future generations inherit a world that is not only prosperous, but livable. When we look to the future, India will not just be seen as a rising economic superpower, it will be seen as the hope for a better world. It will show us that success is not about beating others, but about lifting others up. India is the world's largest democracy, and it is showing the world that democracy works, that governance at its best is not about power, but about serving the people. India is not just providing an example of economic growth. It's providing an example of how we all can grow together. As India leads, it will carry the rest of the world with it. It will be the bridge that connects the East and West, the South and North, the rich and poor. But the true power of India's rise lies in its people. India's youth, its entrepreneurs, its innovators, its farmers, its artists, its scientists. They are the force that will shape the future. India is the world's youngest country, a country with the energy, the drive, and the vision to take on the world's biggest challenges. And as India's people rise, they will pull the rest of the world up with them. India's rise is not just a victory for India. It is a victory for humanity. It is a victory for a world that is more connected, more prosperous, and more equal. The world has underestimated India for too long. The world has thought that India's rise would be slow, that it would be complicated, and that it would take decades to unfold. But India's rise is already here, and it is happening faster than anyone expected. The world will look back in the years to come and realize that the greatest shift in the global balance of power came not from the United States or China, but from a country that, for too long, was overlooked. A country that was always there, waiting, building, and now leading the way. So, the question is not whether India will rise. It is how quickly it will rise and how far the rest of the world will follow. India's rise is not just a story of economic growth. It is the story of global transformation. As India moves to the forefront of global leadership, it will show the world that true power comes from creating a future where no one is left behind. It will prove that the best way to lead is by building a world where everyone can rise, a world where growth is shared, and a world where the true measure of success is not power or wealth, but the ability to lift others up. The future belongs to India. And as India rises, it will take all of us with it. It is a future of hope, prosperity, and unity. A future where the world does not just follow the footsteps of a few powers, but builds a future that is inclusive, sustainable, and shared by all. India's rise is not the end of the story. It's just the beginning. The story of the new world, the world that India will help create. As we stand on the brink of this new era, the world can no longer afford to turn a blind eye to India's rise. India's strength is not just in its numbers. It's in its vision, its spirit, and its capacity to innovate. India is no longer just a nation playing catch up. It is a global leader shaping a future that will benefit not only its people, but the world as a whole. The rise of India is not the story of a country trying to dominate. It's the story of a nation that refuses to be limited, a nation that believes in the power of collaboration, a nation that will lead by empowering others. As India steps into the spotlight, it will show the world that the true measure of power is not in wealth or control, but in the ability to uplift everyone around you. In the years to come, we will look back at this moment as the turning point when India shifted from a nation of promise to a global force. A force that isn't here to compete, but to connect, to share, and to lead the way toward a future where all nations rise together. So, as we move forward, remember this: India's rise is not just about India, it's about a better world for us all. The road ahead is long, but the future is bright. And India will be the beacon, showing the world that the future doesn't have to be divided. It can be unified, inclusive, and shared by all. The time is now. The world is changing, and India is leading the way. Let us walk this path together, for the future that India is building is the future that belongs to all of us.
Scattamu stanotti, viri come balla, sutta e fanali chi si scidica. Ballamu stanotti, salta come un'anna, chi pettini di luna in sciolla. Gira musica, gira e non si ferma, come una galla do vento aita. Attira con narina, tamburello e abbacia come sua figliola. Scattamu stanotti, viri come balla, sutta e fanali chi si scidica. Ballamu stanotti, salta come un'anna, chi pettini di luna in sciolla. Sinni e tunu, i voti si danno, tu na poco gli putia. Sin da fettunu, i cappotti russi e si ricordano da notti buona. Scattamu stanotti, vini come balla, sutta e fanali chi si scidica. Ballamu stanotti, salta come un'anna, chi pettini di luna in sciolla.